What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Welcome back to the subscribers. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can get notified when we release more videos and also when we conduct live streams. We're definitely going to do a live stream later on today. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart through Super Chat, through Venmo, through Patreon, through just watching the videos. And there's ads in the videos, so you definitely support the cause that we're trying to do. If you just being subscribed and watching and listening to your boy Fanon share his opinion. And that's what I do. I share my opinion. For all the people that get hot about whether I think Terence Crawford can beat Errol Spence or Errol Spence can beat Terence Crawford, it's just my opinion. I like both guys very, very much. I wish them nothing but the best, good health, wisdom, and wealth. So don't take it personally. The only person that I talk about that I really say on a consistent basis that I don't care for, and I mean it, is Eddie Hearn. Other than that, and that's only because, I just got a personal thing about guys that consistently tell stories. But that's a personal thing. Now, and not the purpose of this video right now. Now, what I'm going to talk about now is the real bout that I want to see. That's probably a good ways off, but last week and this week, last weekend when Terence Crawford fought Jeff Horn, and this week when Errol Spence Jr. faces Carlos Ocampo, we're having a lot of good conversation about this potential epic, historic matchup between Terence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. And the thing that makes it so enticing and something that I want to see so very badly is because it is in direct contradiction to the other mega fights that are happening, quote unquote mega fights that are happening in boxing that, that don't have that dynamic. One is, of course, Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. That would be coming up, I believe, on September 15th. And that for me is just, been there and done that. I saw how that played out. I'm really not a tremendous fan of Gennady Golovkin's. I like Canelo Alvarez, but since Canelo Alvarez popped dirty, hey, it just took a little bit of the luster off of the bout for me. And I don't think I just don't think that's as exciting about as far as like the high level of competition that you have between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. Same thing applies for Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. I would love to see that bout take place for unification at 100 at heavyweight. However, with all the nonsense going on with Eddie Hearn's 8-fight plan and honestly, man, at this point in time, me really believing that Anthony Joshua was a bit of a media creation. A good boxer, no doubt about it, but definitely in my opinion, I believe that he's a media creation and he's being protected until, he absolutely and the boxing public is being milked as far as they can possibly be milked. Now, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, on the other hand, I think these guys are two guys that are going to actually come in there, are going to want to prove who the best is, and they are definitely the best. Unlike Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez, there's questions to me about whether they're the two best middleweights. At this point in time, I don't think that there's any question in my mind who the two best welterweights are. And I think that's the pound for pound number one boxer in the world, Crawford, and the number one welterweight, and definitely, in my belief, top 5 pound for pound boxers in the world, Errol Spence Jr. And that is the attraction. Now, what I'm going to talk about is an article. Of course, we know I did one yesterday where talked about Errol Spence Jr. and how Errol Spence Jr. said that, look, man, he thinks he would just beat up Terence Crawford. Very matter of fact, not a lot of emotion in it. Very clear about the fact that, he doesn't need to dislike anybody in order to go in there and get the stoppage or go in there and win the bout and do what he has to do. That he's just going to go about his job. Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, I think, in the way that he communicates is very similar to that, but I think that he really does have a little testiness in him that motivates him to really put something on the guys that he fights. But at the same time, it's going to be those factors, what you see in the ring and what people believe about their skill as compared to other boxers that is going to sell that bout. It's not going to be the verbosity of the or the banter going back and forth between the two, because to be quite honest, neither one of them are very good at it or very interested in it. I bet you if there's just not a lot of extra with them. They just go about their business. And that's something that Bob Arum had said about Terence Crawford, and there not really being a necessity for him to do that. And I'll go into that. But what Crawford said about Spence is kind of in response to Terence Crawford saying, Errol Spence saying that he was going to beat him up. And a quote that did come out of a different press conference that he was going to go over there and snatch that belt from Terence Crawford. The response was, just very straightforward. And let me go through that and then go through what Bob Arum said about his personality. And then I'll wrap it up again with giving you my thoughts on what's going to happen in this bout. And once again, look, it's my opinion. And I got a lot of friends on YouTube, people that we, to the extent that you can be friends on YouTube, right? Where you having conversations with subscribers. There's a lot of subscribers that really do like Errol Spence. There's a lot of subscribers that like Crawford. Look, man, it's just my opinion. That's all. Okay. I just think that I always favor the technically more sound, bigger, stronger guy who has a certain way that with Errol Spence is going to like for somebody to try to get into a dogfight with him. And Crawford gets into dogfights. You know what I mean? That's just how I see it. But let me go through this article. Crawford on Spence. We have to go through each other. WBO welterweight champion Terence Crawford, 33-0 with 24 KOs, is now a major player at 147 pounds. Last Saturday night at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Crawford dominated and stopped to 2012 Australian Olympic in 9 rounds to capture the WBO title. The win became Crawford's division after capturing world titles at junior welterweight and lightweight. It didn't take long before fans were calling for a showdown between Crawford and IBF welterweight champion Errol Spence, 23-0 with 20 KOs. Spence is back in action this coming Saturday night when he defends his title against mandatory challenger Carlos Ocampo in Dallas, Texas. Showtime will televise, and Fanon will be there. Crawford is slated to fight again on a date in October with Jose Benavidez as a possible opponent. As time goes on, Crawford and Spence will become one of the biggest bouts to make in the entire sport. It is without question the biggest bout in boxing to make, Crawford told Steve Muehlhauser of Sporting News. That bout will happen, and when it does, I feel like it's going to be a great night for me, Errol, and the whole boxing world. Of course, there are some hurdles to overcome in making that match. Crawford is tied to Top Rank, who has an exclusive content deal with ESPN, and Spence is tied to Premier Boxing Champions, which is firmly aligned with Showtime. Networks aside, Crawford believes the bout is inevitable with both of them being champions in the same weight class. The thing with me and Errol is we both got the same goal, and both of us accomplish our goal. And for both of us to accomplish our goal, we have to go through each other. Crawford said he wants to be the undisputed champion in the welterweight division. I want to be the undisputed champion in the welterweight division. Simple as that. There can only be one undisputed champion in the division. That means somebody must fall. Just straight truth. Not a whole lot of pizzazz with it. I can't wait to whoop him. I can't wait to, definitely no Ali flair in all of that, but just a calm practicality. And we're going to have to rely on the excitement which is refreshing. The excitement in the bout coming from what actually the anticipation leading up to it, the conversations leading up to it, and then what actually happens in the ring. And I have no doubt that bout will be a classic, an absolute classic. I think it would have ebbs and flows on both sides of it. And, hey, man, either guy has the ability to win that bout. I think people that say, like, I'm not going to say that I don't believe that Terence Crawford has any chance whatsoever of winning the bout. My take on it is that Terence Crawford is going to have to do something different than what he usually does. And he's going to have to change and I mean, not with the techniques that he uses in the ring, but with his mentality. If he goes in there trying to slug with Errol Spence Jr., and if he's sitting there willing to take one and sticking his tongue out and trying to do that, he's gonna get beat. Errol Spence, I believe, is a special boxer. He's not anything like anybody that I don't think he's anything like anybody in boxing right now. Personally, I don't think he's anything like anybody in boxing. His aggressive style, his body attack, his ability to cut off the ring, his jab, his strength. I just think that he's a different kind of guy. And that's a lot to overcome. Now, if there's somebody that can overcome it at welterweight, hey, it could be Terence Crawford. Right? But the other puncher, there's another boxer puncher up there in welterweight who's a little bit bigger than Terence Crawford, might not be quite as skilled, but clearly it ain't no guarantee that Terence Crawford is going to beat him, which is, Once Upon a Time Thurman. And Once Upon a Time Thurman thought much better of getting in the ring with Errol Spence Jr. And, there was a reason for that. But that said, the point of this is, look, these guys all have the ability to be like in the welterweight division, to have a scenario where it could be like, the Fabulous Four, the 80s. What is it is it the Fabulous Four? Fantastic Four? I can't remember which one it is, what they call it, but what the name of it was. But where you had Duran, you had Leonard, Duran, Leonard, Hearns, and Hagler. Hagler, of course, being a middleweight, right? But Duran, Hagler, Hearns, and Duran, that combination of bouts that those guys had with one another were just very, very, very classic. And to have Terence Crawford and Errol Spence in the division this time really does bring that to the forefront. And they have I think both of these guys have similar personalities to Marvin Hagler, and that's not missed on my favorite promoter, Bob Arum, who, man, I swear, man, after all the stuff going on with Eddie Hearn and the bout with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, I can't hardly find anything to criticize Bob Arum for. It's like Eddie Hearn has made Bob Arum just seem like a choir boy. You know what I mean? Seriously. I said in another video, it's like, wow, man, I think I've caught Eddie Hearn in more lies in the last 3 months than I've caught, outright lies, than I've caught Bob Arum in the entire time I've been paying attention to him. But, that's just like saying, hey, a black mamba is more poison. What would you rather get bitten by, a black mamba or a rattlesnake? One just might be worse than the other, but neither one of them are worth anything. Arum, like Hagler, Crawford can be himself and make major money. Bob Arum likened Terence Crawford to Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler all in one press conference. Crawford's promoter compared Crawford to Leonard for how he competes inside the ring, and Leonard's rival for Crawford's approach outside the ring. Arum made the Hagler comparison after a reporter asked Crawford during a post-match press conference Saturday night if he needs to do anything different to become more marketable among non-boxing fans. Like Marvin Hagler, right? Aram said following the Crawford's ninth round stoppage of Jeff Horn at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Marvin never did anything, really, to endear himself to you guys, but he made more money than any of the middleweights around because he was Marvin Hagler, and he stayed to the end being Marvin Hagler. So is Bud Crawford. He's going to be Bud Crawford forever. Hagler, who was also promoted by Aram, did commercials for Right Guard, Diet Coke, and Pizza Hut, even though the former middleweight champion wasn't exactly known for having a sunny disposition. Crawford usually is a friendly, engaging guy who gives insightful answers and can show a good sense of humor, but he has drawn criticism in the past for contentious exchanges with certain media outlets. The 30-year-old Crawford feels he has been covered unfairly at times, which led to how he approached particular outlets at one time. That led him to decline speaking to his hometown newspaper, the Omaha World Herald, and BoxingScene.com, among others in the past. Crawford did countless scheduled interviews before his bout with Horn, the first significant boxing event streamed live on ESPN Plus app. He is firmly committed, though, to remaining as authentic as he attempts to become a bigger star. I believe I've just got to keep doing what I'm doing, Crawford said after defeating Horn. Crawford's guarantee for facing Horn was $3 million. He made $1.75 million more than Horn, which means Horn made $1.25 million, despite the heavily favored Crawford. Despite the fact that Crawford was heavily favored. His domination of Australia's Horn made Crawford a 3-division champion. The former WBO lightweight and IBF, IBO, WBA, WBC, WBO 140-pound champion won the WBO welterweight title from Horn and maintained his spot as a consensus top 3 boxer pound for pound in the sport. He's the number 1 guy. Goodness gracious. How in the world can you have Gennady Golovkin and Vasyl Lomachenko ahead of that guy? That's ridiculous. Anyway, he's a terrific boxer, Aram said. I've told everybody I compare him, and this is the highest praise I could give a fighter, a welterweight, the mid-level weight divisions. You see how he had to snap that back? That he reminds me of Sugar Ray Leonard. And that, to me, is a great, great compliment because I always thought that Leonard was the best, and this guy is equal, if not better, than Ray was. Now, he said, that's the best I can give a compliment. No, it ain't. No, it's not. Because you doggone sure gave Vasyl Lomachenko higher compliments than that. Ridiculous. But all said, I do agree with Bob Arum that Terence Crawford just needs to go ahead and be Terence Crawford. As long as Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford in the ring, honestly, that's enough for me. And I'm a boxing fan. So I'll talk about numbers, I'll talk about all those type of things, but really, I care more about just seeing the bout. I care about seeing high quality boxing matches. And Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford is clearly a high level, high quality, could be historic type of boxing match, quality boxing match. And that's all I care about. I think we are definitely, as boxing fans, getting sold a line that we're getting sold stuff that we don't need. We're like, what is it? Selling ice cubes to an Eskimo. I think that's the saying, so you're telling me something you're telling me something I don't need. I don't need to know. I don't need to be excited about how much money a boxer's making. I just want to see a high quality bout. I don't care and honestly, I don't really care how many other people get to see the boxing match. I can only watch. I'm only one person. So the only person that matters to me as far as who attends the bout or who gets to see the bout is me and maybe some close friends. I want my dad to be able to see it. I want subscribers to be able to see it. I want to be able to see it. But, similar to the situation with Anthony Joshua and, whether it's at Cardiff, whether it's in, Principality, or whether it's at Wembley Stadium, what difference does it make to me if there's 20,000 more people in Wembley? What, so that the number can be higher? There's more tickets to scalp? That doesn't make me any difference. But in this situation with Crawford and Errol Spence, the everything that I want as a boxing fan is there. Two great competitors who both have a chance to win, who want to face each other, and who are in the number two, in my opinion, the number two division in boxing. That's all I can ask for. And just because I think Errol Spence is going to win the bout doesn't mean I don't have a lot of respect for Terence Crawford. And with that, I'm out. Peace.